Hello and namaskar viewers. In this video we are going to talk about the class of vocabulary. So it is a basic notion which can refine your tastes in learning about vocabulary, English vocabulary. The basics that we are required to know. Now let's know about what constitutes class of vocabulary. Then we have conception, subjectivity, dialect, sociolect, idiolect, social register, and arbitrary. So we are going to talk about these ideas that form the class of English vocabulary. Coming to the first one, conception. When we talk about conception, then it is a notion or an idea that may or may not be true. For example, when I was in New York, I presumed Americans ate only burgers and pizzas. So this particular example or statement can be true or cannot be true, or it may be true, it may not be true. It is an idea that the speaker has in his or her mind. So this is what we know about conception, how we conceive the idea of something. Coming to the next is the subjectivity. So every statement is either subjective or objective. Objective means which is true regardless of the listener or the speaker. But subjective is such that it may not be accepted by people. It may be accepted, it may not be accepted. So it is like more of a general kind of statement. You can see the examples here. In objective, London is a city and everybody accepts that. That is objective. But in subjective, we get to see that London is a city of opportunities, which may not be true for everybody. So that becomes subjective statement. Coming to what subjectivity relies on, then we have to consider these four key postulates that tells us about subjectivity. That is real or unreal. So subjectivity is conditional. That is possible or impossible, which means it projects towards present perfect tense. Then that is likely or unlikely, which projects towards modals. And finally, that is continuous or instantaneous, which projects towards progressive. So these four are the postulates where we can get the idea about subjectivity, or subjectivity relies on these postulates. You may say like that. Now come to dialect. This is another class of vocabulary where speakers belong to different locations and they construct a spoken pattern of language to communicate with others. So, example, Nagamese is a dialect which has no written scriptures. This is another characteristic feature of dialect, that it has no written scriptures. It is spoken for the convenience of communication. And here location is given the emphasis. So based on the location, based on the regions that people belong, they form a common pattern of speaking that connects with other speakers of other location. Now coming to sociolect, what is it? So speakers of different social or economic groups, they speak differently. For example, in Upper Assam and Lower Assam, they both, communities, they speak Assamese, but you will find a difference. There are though many differences, but certain usage of words make a difference, whereas the language remains the same. So sociolect depends on what kind of group you belong to and what from the group you can identify that where are you located. So sociolect is more concerned with the group. Coming to idiolect. Now every speaker has a unique combination of vocabulary and grammar patterns. Do you notice that? Well, example is when I speak English, I frequently use present perfect tense. You must have noticed young children when they complain or when they are about to seek permission to their teachers, they use a lot of present continuous tense. So that signifies that every speaker has a unique combination of grammar patterns or grammatical patterns and vocabulary. It can be repetitive. I'm not saying which is right and wrong, but I'm just saying that this is what is idiolect. We call idiolect in the class of vocabulary. Coming to the next class is social register. What is social register? Well, when speakers speak differently depending on the situation. So here, situation wise, we choose to speak with the person. For example, the way I speak to my teacher will be different from the way I speak with my friends. Similarly, with your cousins, you will be speaking in a different tone, in a different way, whereas with a higher authority or with anybody else who has, with formal relations, you will speak in a different way. That forms the social register. Then comes arbitrary. So arbitrary means randomly selected without having a proper logic. And in English, many elements are there which are arbitrary. For example, you have the choice of preposition like I am in love with nature. I think of nature. I am interested in nature. I am fascinated about nature. You must have noticed that it is projecting towards liking or loving nature, and in this regard you are using different prepositions in different ways. So that is an example of arbitrariness in this class of vocabulary. That is all for today in this video. Thank you everybody for watching this content. Namaskar.